Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today and our continuation of creating my new EP here in GarageBand for the month of May. It is Mayhem, or is it? Might have some ideas. I've got some different ideas around some title of the EP, which we'll talk about in a moment. We are also going to dive into some acoustic guitar recording. So let's jump over and just check. Camera 2, are you ready? Are you good to go here? It is. I'm trying another new thing here today, but I haven't quite worked out the lighting situation because for me to be lit, lit, and I can't light that at the same time because I've got things going in the opposite direction. So bear with me while I just do a quick adjustment, because what I might do is put my brightness up on my camera, turn down the lighting. Oh no, that's a bit too mood lighting-y. Do that. Is that going to be about right? That might be. Yeah, it's going to be a trade-off, isn't it? It's going to be a trade-off between my lighting for my face and the lighting for theirs. So we'll balance that out as we go. Excuse me. We'll balance that as we go, and hopefully you'll be, once we actually get in and we're starting to look at projects in here, you'll be able to get an idea for what we're doing, and I'll continue trying new things and getting things set up. Hello to the folks who are here live, getting ready to help me continue on with this process. We'll jump in and say g'day. We have scroll to the top and say g'day. Folks that were here early, Nameless Beats, Fallen Creature were here early, Jade Star is here, Metallian is back, Jeff Brush was wondering if we'd be able to go live. Yes, YouTube has been down. It was literally down for about an hour, and it was almost the hour leading up to this live stream. So I almost pulled the plug, and then I went, no, we're going to just have a go. Yesterday, the stream cut out because of my internet, and today it would be just ironic if the whole of YouTube went down. Wouldn't be able to do much about that. Hello to Sion. Hello, Adam Matters. Desolate Morning is here. Bubba is here as well. We've got LC Music Tracks. Mr. Glenn Clark is dialing in from across the pond there in I was going to say Tasmania. Oh, New Zealand. It's across the. See, New Zealand's across the I get confused. The Tasman Sea, New Zealand. Don't worry, we'll get there. Hello to Lucas Burgos. Good to have you here, my friend. We've got Tom Rochelle, stuck in the 70s. Hello to you, Miltono. Hello to you, amigo. We've got KK Sacy. KK Scary. We've got Kyle TV is here as well. Reed Rogers, Ray Stallion, Rage 5606. We've got a full house. We might have to start getting security to just let people in one by one, like they're doing in a lot of the stores at the moment. We'll be fine. We are going to jump in and start looking at some acoustic guitar. If you're just joining me, let me catch you up really quickly on what we're doing here. So we are recording an EP in the month of May. It is titled Mayhem at the moment. Got some ideas around that, as I said. I'll talk about that in a moment. You can see I've got camera 2 set up here, and unfortunately, the quality's still not fabo, but this will at least give you a bit of an idea for how I'm set up here. So you'll be able to see what I plug in here. You'll be able to see how I set it up here on the iPad. And unfortunately, I can't control the camera settings of the iPhone here using StreamYard very well, but we'll go with what we have, okay? We're just going to give it a crack because that's the best thing to do. So we're going to set up and record that in a moment. We've got 5 tracks, so let's just have a quick look here. In the last episode, previously on Studio Live today, in the last episode, we set up these 5 projects, and we've got these ready to go. I've started renaming them their version 1. I've done all of them except this one for some reason. So this one here, space V1. All right. So there you go. So what we're going to do is, as we progress, each one of these is going to become version 2, version 3, version 4, etc. And that's something I highly recommend you do when you're starting out. And the beauty part is, as we record onto a track, we're going to be able to replace the version. So and then I'll have an archive folder. I'll show you how this all works. But basically, I create an archive folder. I put the old versions in there. The latest versions are going to sit out here. Then if something goes horribly wrong, we can always backtrack and go to a previous version and see how that goes. Righty dokie, let's jump in and get started, shall we? Because this will be a lot of fun, I think. So the first thing we're going to do is record an acoustic part for my song Perfect, because I already have an acoustic part for this, but I want to re-record it. So I'm going to show you how, if we already know the part, how we can actually get this done. Now, the colors on there are just looking just awful. Let me just turn my Let me turn my light off here for a second, see if that improves things. Not really. So it's not really going to help anyway. I think it's just the color scheme and the camera and everything. That looks okay. We're going to go with it. But these are actually blue tracks. They're not these weird sort of aqua color. So let's just do a quick test run. That's not the right slider to bring up. Let's bring up this one and hit play. So this is the old guitar that I had recorded in for this track. And if you were here on the last one, I showed you how all of these different tracks are other attempted vocals. I'm almost going to just lose everything on this one because I think this is a little bit too slow. I mentioned it last time that this speed that we had here was like this. Oop. And I think it really needs to kick along a bit. So that's going to mean, so when you've got tracks like this that are audio tracks, it means that everything is going to need to change because there's no virtual instruments. We need to change and delete everything to start again. So I don't even really know why I'm in this track because we don't need any of this stuff. We are going to just mute it all for now though and leave it here just in case we want to return to this and understand some of these ideas. But as we move forward and as we create the new track, we'll probably completely remove these because they'll be out of time now. Because the first thing I'm going to do is go into my settings and I'm going to set my tempo. And this is the sort of speed I want. Life doesn't have to be perfect, to be wonderful. So yeah, 144. So it's going to go up about, not a heap, but up a little bit more than what we had before. So that's what we're going to go with on the tempo. If we come back here now, life doesn't have to be perfect, to be wonderful. Yep, that's what we want. Let's record some acoustic. How do we do it? We're going to add a new track, aren't we? So what I do to record acoustic is we tap on the plus button here. We then scroll on across to our audio input. Was I there already? Was I on it and then just kept going? Anyway, here we go. Go to more sounds here and go to acoustic guitar. Now I use the Nice Room. I use the Nice Room acoustic guitar as my default acoustic guitar setting. It's going to tell me I have an audio interface connected because I do, and I'm going to turn on monitoring. Now you'll notice here I've got channel 1. I can select input 1 or input 2, and those correspond with these two. So this is input 1 on my Steinberg UR22C, and this is input 2. Now I've got complete videos, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done this before, showing how to connect an audio interface, how to get it all set up here with your iPhone or iPad. But the things you basically need is a Lightning to USB 3 adapter, which is this one on the side here, can't quite see. So that's plugging into the Lightning port and that's plugging the USB in here, and it's also powering the iPad in that extra Lightning port that you can see there. And then I use a powered USB hub, which you can't really see, but I'll bring it around. No, I'm not going to be able to get it into shot. I showed it in the last episode. So they're the two bits of gear that you'll basically need for any audio interface, USB audio interface, powered USB hub, Lightning to USB 3 adapter, plug it in, you'll be absolutely good to go. So this is actually set for input number 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to awkwardly reach down and grab a mic cable because I'm going to show you two different ways we can record here. And the beautiful part of having a 2-channel interface is we can record them both at the same time and then pick and choose or blend them together. Yes, we're going to do some fancy work. So we're going to unfurl our XLR cable. I've lost the other end. It's very awkward doing this all around here. It's a lot easier when it's just you in front of an interface. It works a lot better. So what we do is we grab the USB cable here. That's going to go in, not USB, XLR cable. Always disconnect your audio. Don't do what I just did and try and plug in live. Otherwise you get that clunking sound. So that is set there. This is our input gain here. Now you'll notice that input gain is unable to be adjusted here because the input gain for this microphone will be this one here. Let's now grab my guitar cable. So what we can also do at the same time, it's stuck. There we go. What we can also do at the same time is record a guitar direct into input number 2. But what we need to do, down here, you can't really see it there, the input to it has high Z or high Z. So on this interface, we need to make sure that is on, and that turns this from a line level input or an XLR input into, yep, an input for our guitar. So we can plug the microphone in and the guitar in. So let's get these set up, and then we'll actually plug in our mic and our guitar to get started. So this one is going to be channel 1. So this will be our guitar microphone setting. If we come back here to our view, our track view here, scroll on down, tap on this one and tap duplicate. Now we've got a second track here. We're going to add monitoring to that track. We're going to go back up to the microphone, but this time, you guessed it, we're going to change this to input number 2. So this one is now using this connection here in our interface. So we've got input 1, which is going to be our microphone. Input 2 is going to be our direct guitar recording. So we can come back here to our view here. And when we set up to record, what we need to do is make sure both of these lights are on, both the red lights are on, and both monitoring is on, so we can hear both of these channels coming through. But we're not going to hear much of anything until I actually connect stuff up, right? So let's do the guitar first. So we'll do input number 2 first, because that's going to be easier. We're going to grab the other end of our guitar cable and whack our microphone in the meantime. So here is the other end of that white guitar cable. We're going to plug this in to my acoustic guitar, which happens to be right here. So that goes in here like so. Boom. And now I'm just going to move myself back a wee bit so that I can get away from all of the gear there. You're not hearing anything because I haven't got the volume up. We'll turn up those channels again here. Now you're hearing that actually coming through. And what we can do now is we can dial in the input gain and get this set up. So what I'll do, remember, we're on this channel here. We're going to go to our microphone, like so. We have our monitoring on, and what we can do is as we play, so you can see there that our input is only hitting around about 30%. So that tells us that we need to turn up the input gain here. So we're going to drive the input gain up on our interface to about there, about 2/3. Now it's sounding a bit better. Too much, right? So we back it off a little bit. We back it down to about there. That's sounding okay. I'm just going to turn down the volume. I'm just clipping on my mixer here. That's what that clipping sound was there. So, and what you can also do is adjust your output volume. So if you don't want it coming through in your headphones too loud, you can actually turn the output volume down here, and that's going to change how loud it comes through your headphones. So that's another tip there. But you always want, so if we play, in fact, let's get the capo on here. Uh-oh, there it is, saved. So we'll get the capo on here because this one is actually an F sharp major. So and the reason I want to play the song is you can see that my input gain is still too loud. So we're going to back it off again a little bit more. You don't want that clipping up like where it was. It's still clipping a little bit because I don't want it to, you want it to be okay. You want it to be sitting around 50% most of the time and only jumping up to maybe 70% when you play loudly. A little bit low, and yes, it is a finicky trial and error. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I'm definitely not getting right up to the peaking level, and I'm not going to be playing quite that loudly. Excuse me. So that is set up. We can probably bring our monitor back up in the mix too. Like that. I'm bumping my camera there. Ooh, bring it back. Bring it back. Alrighty. I keep bumping it with my mic, with my guitar. Let's set up the microphone now. This is going to be extra awkward, but we will zoom on out over to here so that you can see how we do this. Let's bring on in my microphone. Now, this is going to be hard to set up because I literally have cables and gear going everywhere now here because I have to try and film this for you so you can see what's going on. But if we bring in this microphone from the side, I've got, you can see here, my AT 2020 Audio Technica. We'll just bring the boom on in. Bring this over. Boop, 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 boop. Here it comes. There it is. Knock over that microphone. Bring the boom into view. Like that. And once this is connected, then I'll probably try and I'll be working on two microphones here. So this will be super fun, won't it? Yeah. Whoa, balancing. It's a balancing act. Let's come over here. I'll just turn my brightness up a little bit on the video here, so you can see a little bit more of what's going on, because it's backing away. It's blacking out the actual blackness of this, so you can't quite see it well. So this is what we can do. We'll bring these over here. So what we're going to do is connect up this microphone back over to our interface that we already had. So here is the mic cable that is connected to our interface. That goes into our AT2020. And what you'd usually do is make sure you've turned everything off so you don't get that sound. And now you can already hear me coming on through, yeah? You can hear this one coming through, as well as my mic there, and as well as that guitar there. So now, because I have my mouse here, I'm far away from my iPad. This is the beautiful part of having a mouse. We can get ourselves set up here. So remember that second channel here, we're now coming through on this first channel. So that mic is coming through on our first channel. So we need to do the same thing to set the gain for our microphone on this. Now realize I'm not showing that. So let's show that for you. Boom. There we go. So I'll take us back a step because I wasn't showing that on the camera. So there you go. There are our two channels. This is the one that is coming through direct from the cable. But you can also see that this one is coming through from this microphone. So we're actually getting a mix of those two different channels, two different tracks coming in there. Now let's just do a quick test run here, because the way that I set up to record, that's going to get annoying, isn't it? Let's turn the monitor off from that one for now. That's your monitoring. So that's going to, because it was coming through here with that reverb. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of yell at you for a moment because I have to get a little bit away from here so that I can get set up. But what the way that I'll record with a large diaphragm condenser mic like this one, the Audio-Technica AT2020, is that you want to point it at around about the 12th fret on your guitar and get usually around about a half a meter to a meter away, depending how you want to do. So I'm going to be quiet on the mic for a bit because I'm just going to be setting up and testing out. And if you watch on the input there, we will come over to here. So we may need to make some adjustments on the input gain here. So I'm just going to play. We're going to put the monitoring back on. In fact, let's make sure that we're not getting the other channel in here. We will monitor just on this mic channel. So we're going to turn off the direct channel. That's not monitoring. It's still recording, still going through, but it's not being heard. We're just going to monitor this channel. So come back to our microphone and let's just set up as if I would be recording. So we're going to adjust the mic stand, point this one. Now when I do it, I point it down. So, oh, I'm out of shot. We're going to have to bring it on over. There we are. We'll move that one over. So when I do this, I usually have my mic pointed downwards because I breathe. I don't know about you, but I breathe when I play guitar. So you don't want to get your breathing in there. And I point it downwards towards the 12th fret at around about this distance. So we're around half a meter, around about a foot away. And then I'm just going to play as if I would be recording here. And what you can see is that we don't have enough gain on this, so we can come over here to our mic and turn it up. But you can hear the problem. We get noise. So when you turn up the mic, you also turn up the noise. So it's a balancing act finding that spot in between the two, yeah? So being around about there. So that's probably still a little bit quiet. We'll go a little bit louder. But you can hear there, because I'm not in a treated space here, because it's where I do my streaming, you're actually going to be hearing a bit of the noise in the background. Hear that? There you go. So, but it's actually hitting about the right areas where we want to on the input there. So I think we're pretty close to set here. What I'm going to do is do a bit of a test run recording of this now. So I'll bring this over here so that you can hear me talk, but you're also going to hear the monitoring there. So what we need to do is come over to this one, go back to our track view, we're going to turn on both of these monitoring now. So we're now monitoring this signal at the bottom, the direct signal, as well as the top signal, which is the guitar that we're playing that's coming through the microphone. So let's do a quick test run, shall we? Just a few bars to see how this is going. So what we need to do is hit the record button. Actually, have we got enough? Yes, see, I've got this set up in sections. So I do need to, so yeah, so I'm starting there at A. So it's got like 4-bar intro coming in. Actually, what I can do is turn these drums back on. This will help us. And this will give us a lead in, and then we can start recording. So let's bring these drums, tap and hold, and drag these drums down next to our guitar. And then, there you go. We've got these ready to go. So what I'm going to do is hit record. There's our drums playing. We'll turn off the metronome, we don't need that. And let's try. I think I didn't have both channels recording. Let's come back out here. No, I didn't. So here's the problem. You'd notice that it jumped from this view out to that other view. Well, the problem with that, the reason it did that, is that I only had the record light on one. So I did that on purpose, just to show you what might happen, yeah? Let's go with that. What I can do, though, is if we turn the actual undo that recording, like that, we'll turn the record light on, and now what you'll notice is, and this is a good tip if you want to record on 2 tracks, is that it can now show you this view instead of that guitar microphone view. So let's show you what I mean here. If we hit record, it stays on this view, which is easier to record to. Let's do it. And so on. Oh, that's enough, Mr. Man. Boom. So there you go. Let's turn off the monitoring on those. Boom, boom, and we're back. We're back to just a regular microphone. So what you can see here is it's recorded this one here, direct guitar sound, this one here through the microphone. Let's take a listen, shall we, to what these actually sound like. So if we come in here, this one is our microphone sound. So let's take a listen to this. So the benefits of that sound are that you're getting a full, rich sound, you're getting a bit of room noise, which isn't always a bad thing, and you're getting sort of the full body sound of the guitar. Let's switch over now and take a listen to the other recording that came direct through the input here and see if we can hear the difference. So what you can hear there is it's a slightly harsher sound. You're not getting that sort of reverberance that you get from the body of the guitar coming through the microphone, but you're getting more of the attack. You're hearing more of the notes. The reason that I recommend this method if you are recording acoustic guitar, and if you've got a 2-channel interface anyway, you might as well do this, is that if we blend these two together, what I like to do is go with a lot of the actual microphone sound and then blend in a little bit of this one. So let's come sort of further down here and I'll show you what I mean. If we come to this section, I'll start with just the microphone guitar and then I'll blend up the actual second guitar here and see what it sounds like. Take it away. Bring it back. So that just gives you a full kind of sound. So that's a method that I use quite a bit, is to record to like that. What I'm going to show you now is another method I use for acoustic guitar recordings, which is double tracking and then using stereo panning. So what I need to do is duplicate out this track, tap there, tap duplicate, and then I'm going to mute this one and just record exactly this again. But the beautiful part of double tracking guitars is that you'll play it slightly differently. And then when you pan one left and one right, you get a really nice sound in the mix. So let's give this a go now. Because this is just a duplicate of this, it's already set with all the exact same settings. So all I need to do is put it on solo here. Make sure, whoops, no, I don't want to record that channel, but I want to have this one, check. So this is now mic'd up again, and it's coming through there. So let's go back to the start. I'm going to record along from there to there, and then I'll show you what we can do with this with a double-tracked guitar. Let's do it. It stays on this view, which is easier to record to. Let's do it. And so on. And so on. There we go. So that is recorded. Now you notice that it recorded in this view because I didn't have a second track. So hang on, let's just undo that. So the reason that what I would probably do there, and what I do a lot, is just record a second version of the straight track anyway, just so that you got two. So that's another option that you have there if you want to do something like that. So let's now take a look here. I'm just checking the health of my thing. Just make sure the stream is actually going through. I'm sure there would be a bunch of things saying, yes, things are not through if they're not working. So that is now our two tracks there, and you can see that they're not identical, but they're kind of similar here. So these are our two stereo tracks. So what we can do now is we'll grab this first one. We will come in here to the mixer icon, boom, and then we'll push this one over to the left. So this is going to be our left guitar. We'll grab this second one and we'll track this over to the right. So now, if we come in here and start playing these, take a listen to the nice sort of stereo width that you get on this guitar recording now. There's the left. There's the right. Bring in a little of this. So what you get there is that you get the richness, you get the stereo width, and you get the richness of the microphone. So the AT2020 condenser microphone recording two versions of the same guitar. And because they're doubled, it gives it that little bit more sort of flavor and a little bit more depth. It's a thicker kind of sound. And then you've still got this. And if again, I could have had two versions of this, of the direct, and just bring a little bit of that in there just to give it that attack that we wanted on there. So that is my guitar recording. Now, if you have two microphones, what you can do is plug two microphones in and record left and right together. So you can use what's called a stereo pair if you've got two of the same sort of microphones. I do have those, and I have showed that in a previous video, actually. So if you search Pete Johns 4 channels or Pete Johns multi-track 4 channels, I showed how one time I recorded vocals, 2 channels of guitar on microphones, and one direct guitar all into a 4 channel interface. So that was kind of fun. But that is what we do here. That is it. That's what I do for acoustic guitars and how I will be recording a lot of these. I wanted to show you the technique and the process here before I dive in and get started. That way, if you're watching future videos, you'll be able to go, ah, yes, that's how he did that, and that's what he means when he says doubling guitars or stereo recording or direct line or recording with a microphone. So hopefully you found that useful. And if you're recording acoustic guitars, if you want to check out all the gear I use here, the Steinberg UR22C interface or any of the other interfaces I recommend, the Lightning to USB 3 adapter, the powered USB hub to get a setup like this. You can see how simple and easy it is to get yourself connected up and set up and recording. Okay, that is going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you next time around, except I'm going to continue on here because I'm going to have a chat to the folks who are here live. But if you just wanted to come to see the exact process that we go through here, that is it. Head over to studiolivetoday.com if you want to get more information. But now, what I'm going to do for those who are still here live is I'm going to deconstruct this and then get back over there and then have a chat. So any questions that you have about this setup, anything that I can answer, I'll be hanging around for another half an hour, and you can ask those if you're here live. So let's maneuver all of this stuff out the way. We'll get the microphone. Thank you for your service, my wonderful Audio Technica AT2020, one of my favorite microphones of all time. That can pop over there. We'll move its cable out of the way. We'll turn our volume down there so you don't get a big click and pop this time like you did last time, and unplug that. We will flick off the iPad. We can come back to that camera in a moment if we need to. I'm going to unplug my guitar, put that down there, put that over there, and mosey on in for a chat. So out of the way. Oof. These boom arms, by the way, are so handy if you're doing any sort of live streaming or anything like this. Yeah, these little scissor boom arms, $20 on eBay, $24, something like that. So handy. Like I thought this would be really crappy and I'd have to replace it with something different instantly, but it works crazy good. Righty dokie. So, yeah, let's see who is here and if anyone has any questions. So I'm gonna scroll on back to the chat and see what anyone has to say. So if you do have questions or if you do have comments about the setup, about anything that's going on here, please jump in and let me know. We'll just adjust my camera back so it's not looking so bright and glary. I just wanted you to be able to see the microphone and everything that I had set up there. Where was I up to in the chat? I'm gonna scroll back and say g'day and check out what people have to say. Oh, I'm not going to be able to go back far enough, am I? That's okay. I'll come to the bottom and then we'll go back up again. Desolate Morning. Okay. Desolate Morning says, how many guitar tracks do I have? In this track, we've got like 2 or 3. So yes, we'll jump into that in a moment. What about phase? So yeah, this is a good question from Metallion 58. So with the recording that I did here, it's not got a big issue with phasing because I'm using the same microphone on the left and the right. If you are using 2 microphones, so you're using a stereo microphone pair, then yeah, you do have to mess around a little bit and make sure you're not out of phase. So keeping equidistance from your guitar is always a good idea there. But yeah, the good news is that you don't have too many phase issues if you're using this method of just recording 2 guitars like that. Can I ask a question about gear? You absolutely can ask a question about gear. Just throw it here in the chat and I'll jump onto it. Pete, what kind of lighting are you using right now? I'm wondering if a good LED would make your pick sharper, or maybe it's just the best we get on the live stream. Yeah, so I'm using the lighting that I have here. If I turn the lighting off for a sec, you can see that it goes into darkness, and then even if I turn my brightness up on the camera, yeah, I get this kind of business. So it's definitely an improvement with the lighting. I've got the two soft boxes up there, but the lighting on the iPad is not good because yeah, I haven't worked out a good way to do that. Let's turn the lights back on. There we go. So and I do want to eventually I'll be upgrading to having using a DSLR or using a mirrorless camera instead of a webcam because that does limit the thing. I do love to talk about gear, absolutely, and you can check out my gear guide. It wouldn't be a show if I didn't tell you about my Studio Live Today gear guide over at studiolivetoday.com/gear as well. Hello to you, 1977 Raj Patel. Glad to be there. Glad to have you here. Question is, will you play a bass for this song? Also, do you mic a bass as well? That is a great question. I don't mic my bass. So to when you're using electric, and you'll see this in some future videos because I will be back to do electric guitar recordings. But when recording electric guitar, you either need to use an amplifier and then mic up the amp, which maybe I'll do for one or two tracks on this EP project just to show you how it's done. But I generally just plug direct in with bass and with electric, and then use some of the cool amp simulators we have either directly in GarageBand or over at a third-party app. So something like the Stark amp sim from Clevgrand, or like Crunk V3, the new one from Nembrini. That's very cool as well. So you can check those out. Rage says, do you have a Patreon account? I do. So if you do want to support me, there's links down in the description to a few different ways you can support me and the channel. Of course, the best way you can support me is by watching plenty of videos here on Studio Live Today. If you're in the market for gear, head to the gear guide and buy stuff there. But if you do want to head to patreon.com/PeteJohns, you can you can join me and fellow patrons of the channel over there as well. Kyle Knox says, you mentioned doing another video of recording acoustic guitar with two mics. Would they be close to the same spot or have one mic further away? So there's two ways to do this. There's what's called a spaced pair, where you have them literally on the left and right. So say you have one mic over here and one here, evenly spaced, and then pointing down towards your guitar. Then there's called an XY configuration, where the two microphones, hang on, my focus of my camera keeps coming in and out. Let's just turn that on to manual focus. That's better. Yeah, don't you hate that thing where it just does that woo woo? Yeah, don't need that. I'm not going to be going in and out of focus. So the other way is XY. So you put the two microphones together and point them outwards, and so they pick up from the left and the right. So you can experiment with both ways. And as Metallian was saying before, if you're getting phasing issues, maybe try a different way. But if you find that video, in fact, I'll do you a solid here. I'll do you a solid by finding my own video and promoting it on my own channel, right? I'll find the video so that you can take a look at this one. So, yes, is YouTube working okay? It is. If I search Pete Johns 4 channels, let's go with that. See if we find it. No. So Pete Johns multi-track, maybe? Pete Johns multi-track. Multi-track should be here. Multi-track recording guitar and vocals. Aha, there it is. So let me share my screen here. Not that screen. That's a good screen, but that's not the screen I want. Let's share this screen instead, shall we? There we go. And I'm just going to remove that one. And I'll remove your question there for a moment. So yeah, so it's this one here. It's how to record. So you can see there. You can see in the intro of the video that I'm actually using the XY configuration with that one. So that's the two microphones together and pointing off in different directions. So yeah, you do need to have two mic stands as well to be able to do that, obviously. But yeah, it's a fun to experiment around with. I must admit, I've stopped using a whole lot of stereo guitar recording because I tend to lean more on the methods that I was showing there before. which is just recording it once and then recording it a second time. I think you get a better, wider, nicer sound because you've got two slightly different recordings, kind of like vocals. When you record a vocal and then you double that vocal, it does a few things. It makes it thicker and warmer sort of sound. It pushes your stereo width out nicely if you pan them left and right. And it also ensures that you have a little bit of protection, I guess, against playing the wrong notes or singing the wrong notes. Because if you play something slightly wrong and there's only one copy of it and it's being picked up on the left and the right, it's wrong there forever. If you play it two different times, one time is perfect, the other time's almost perfect. The perfect kind of disguises the almost perfect, if that makes any sense at all. Hopefully it does. Da, da, da. LC Music Track says PayPal sent a bit ago. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. And that's the other thing. If you do want to support, there is a PayPal link down in the description as well. So if you want to make a one-off donation, because I know some people are not in, I'm the same. I must admit, I do support probably about 5 or 6 creators on Patreon, but there's some where I don't want to get caught in that whole, I sign up for it, and then you feel obliged because you've already started it, and etc., etc. So if you do want to make a one-off donation, feel free to hit the PayPal there. I think that's what I was answering before. Bill McDonald said, I bought an old Mackie SR48 bus and I like to mix on the board. My interface is the M Audio Fast Track. How to get the signal from the console to the computer. Yeah. So I do have another video. Let me just find that one. Which cable guide? One that I did a couple of weeks ago, which is my my cable guide, not Cable Guy, not that bad Jim Carrey movie, but Cable Guide. And if I bring up my screen here, it is this one here called Which Cable. So it's called How to Connect Home Studio Gear Complete Guide. Let me just see if I can copy that link. Let me throw this down in the chat here, so you can tag that one for later. So that's just been thrown in the chat there for you, Bill. But yeah, if you just search how to connect home studio gear, Pete Johns, you'll find that video there. And if we fire this one up, yep, it's not playing because YouTube's being really slow. I'm tempting fate here at the moment. You don't need to see the actual video. It's fine. We'll go back. There it is. There's me doing my thing. So yeah, check that one out, and I show you how to do everything. So either going from an interface to a mixer or a mixer to an interface. So it's pretty simple. If we bring back in, where's my duty down here? Add him back in. So if you take a look, we'll just remove your comment there for a sec. If you take a look here, these are actually also stereo lines in. So these are TRS inputs. So what I can do is the mixer that I'm using to go through here is a Zoom Live Track L8. So I can just send the stereo outputs from the Zoom Live Track into the stereo inputs here on my Steinberg UI12, and I will be 100% good to go. So that is a way to do that if you've got a mixer and you want to record it in your computer. Your mixer doesn't have USB, but your interface does. As long as it's a 2-channel interface, TRS cables out from your mixer into your audio interface, set 2 channels left and right like we did here with these guitars, record them in, and there you go. You've got your stereo mixer recorded in, and you'll be good to go. And Jade is noting there that, yeah, there's where to go, patreon.com/me if you want to support me on Patreon. And hello to those wonderful folks who are already supporting me. And as I say, you support me in whatever way works for you. And watching videos is definitely a way you can support me here. Question from Owen. What do you do to reduce the strings screeching when sliding from chord to chord? Yeah, this is a tough one. And to be honest, it's why in a couple of songs recently, I literally just used the direct line input. So the other thing I didn't show in this one, we'll show later, is EQing. So you can, I'll just come back over here. You can EQ the tracks to remove some of that harsh treble sound that you get from the direct line input. So in a recent song that I did, in fact, no apologies, that version, that doesn't have any mic recorded acoustics at all. That's all direct line input, direct line in, guitars recorded. And that actually reduces that string noise, and it reduces the noise of the body and the pick scraping and you hitting the back of the guitar, any of those sort of things it reduces. If you are recording with a mic and you're doing that, funnily enough, because the scratching comes from the abrasiveness on your fingers, so you can either just lightly wet your fingers, and it sounds weird, but slightly dampen your fingers before you play, and that will be less sliding. And there is stuff you can buy. I'm sure there's a product out there that's like anti-string squeak for your fingers, so you can do that. You can also use a de-esser plugin. So because the squeak sound is a bit like a like the S sound that you want to remove, the sibilant sound, you can use a de-esser plugin to remove that as well. So hopefully that works. And yes, as Metallian says, flat wound strings definitely reduces the screeching a lot, because when you've got strings that I can't, you can vaguely hear that. So especially your lower strings, your low E strings is going to create quite a bit of scratching. Michael Turner, is it safe for the strings to strum the guitar with a coin? If so, what type? Uh, no, I wouldn't. I mean, there are metallic picks that you can use for some guitars. I would always go with a plastic pick. You've got all sorts of different thicknesses of picks, so no, I wouldn't ever recommend using anything like that personally. A question from Sion. I wonder if you could use Deezer or Melody.ml to separate the melody from the string plucks, strums, etc. Interesting question. Something like that normally removes vocals. Could you remove the melody from the plucking? Maybe. A question again from Owen. What do you use to reduce the scratch? We've answered that one, so that's cool. Play Freebird. I wish I could. What's the other one? Blackbird is also a good song. I can't play either of them. So sorry. Lucas says, how should I record drums on GarageBand like the one GarageBand gives you, not real drums? Yeah, there's a heap of ways. Jade has some videos about recording drums. I have a heap of videos about recording drums. If you go over, I reckon I even have a playlist of GarageBand drum stuff. Let's see what I got. But if you search my name, yeah, so if you want to use the drummer, if you search Pete John's drums playlist, I've got a whole playlist of videos here. So yeah, there are a heap of different drum videos that I have. Probably this one is pretty good from a year ago, how to create a virtual drummer track. There's this top one here, the first one that comes up here, how to realistic drum tracks with drummer. That's where I used it for a punk rock song. So that one's a little bit of fun. So yeah, like most things, search my name and then what you're looking for in the YouTubes or the Googles. And yeah, you'll come across something that can hopefully help you out. Hello to you, House of Milk, and sorry you're late. No, that is totally fine. I'm glad that you can be here. And thanks to you, Bill McDonald, for being here. LC Music Tracks, my pleasure. I know Super Chats aren't 100% yours and you don't get it right away. Yeah, so that is another way you can do it. So you can use the Super Chat function here in YouTube. Like Apple, like everything else, yeah, YouTube do take a cut of that. They take a cut of advertising revenue and everything pretty much here on the channel, which is, it's their business model. I'm using their platform for free, so I'm not going to complain about that for a second. But yeah, if you do want to support the channel, feel free to. Or you can listen to my music. That's another good way that you can support the channel. Go over to your Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Google Play, and go ahead and do that. I'm not going to have time to go back up, so I'm at about 5 minutes ago on the chat. So if you did say something or had a question or had a comment way back when, yeah, please re-ask it if you're still here, because I'm not going to be able to go back on up. Metallian says, in response to the drum thing, I use with a MIDI controller. Works fine for my need. Yes, and I will be doing that. Can you see it? Yeah, up there. I've got a few MIDI controllers, and I'll be using those for drums. I also have MIDI drums, so I will finally be cracking out the MIDI drums and doing a review of those. And yes, there are indeed a few ways to record drums on GarageBand. And again, search my name and drums. Michael, I know I just don't have a pick. You know what is that? So don't use a coin, but do this. What I used early on when I was a broke, poor student and didn't have access to, even 50 cents or a music store to go buy a pick, ice cream containers. So they can be really good because they are generally, especially the slightly harder ones, they're usually about the right consistency. So get yourself an ice cream container and then just draw on a pick shape and cut it out, and use nice sharp scissors so you don't get any sort of frayed edges, and then you'll get yourself a pick. Anyway, that is DIY handy guitar crafts with Peach. And we've got, yes, here we go. Use what's comfortable, cut out some plastic. Exactly. Yep. Old bank cards, they can work. They're sometimes a bit too thick, I tend to find. And I've got a machine called the Pickmaster. It's terrible. Don't buy one. I do tell you to buy a lot of stuff. Do not buy a Pickmaster. It's like a hole punch, but for picks. But it creates the most horrible sort of serrated edges. Like a pick is supposed to have really nice smooth edges so that it doesn't catch on your strings and it doesn't do any damage. This Pickmaster creates like weapons. Like they wouldn't let me on a plane because they'd be afraid that I'd go and like threaten to stab people with my sharpened serrated pick. So don't buy a Pickmaster. But yes, as suggested by Owen, yeah, grab something plastic, cut out a pick shape, but nothing metallic. It's not going to help. Um, Continuing on down here, Johnny Van says a dynamic mic. Yeah, so you can definitely use a dynamic microphone for all of your recordings. I use a condenser microphone most of the time, just because I don't tend to get enough volume through a dynamic mic. But yeah, always worth a try. And you found one. There you go. All good. Salute from Brazil. Hello to you, Lucas Borges. Good to have you on board, my friend. Great to see you here. A question here from over on Facebook. I've always had a weak sound quality with loopers. What do you think about the loop function in GarageBand? Should I use it, or is the copy and paste function more accurate, meaning the exact sound that is recorded to paste and use again and again? It's a good question. I don't tend to loop a lot of things, so I tend to re-record because I've tried different tricks, especially for things like delay and echo and that sort of thing. I've tried just sort of re-recording the same sound again. I'm never that happy with it. And even the trick where, you delay one by a few nanoseconds and then it sounds like it's got a delay effect on it. I would always rather spend a bit more time, re-record the sound. And even when I'm recording all the way through, what you'll notice if you watch the next couple of weeks is that I don't tend to copy and paste a whole lot. I may copy and paste a bass track, I may copy and paste a keys track, or maybe a percussion track. If it's a guitar, if it's a vocal, definitely I never copy and paste a vocal from one chorus to the next because you need to have a different sound. But generally, I won't tend to copy and paste. I'll tend to re-record things. So hopefully that helps you out, my friend. I'll continue on, see if we've got any other questions. Thank you, Mr. Rage. Loving the content. See you on the next one. No problem. Good to have you on board here. Question here from House of Milk. Have you tried making an orchestra song? Not a full orchestral type song, but I am playing around with iSymphonic. And if you saw yesterday's video, I showed, so Jade did an arrangement for one of my songs, and that's using some piano, some strings, and some nice orchestral sounds. So go and check that one out. And iSymphonic is the one that the cool app that I'll be exploring a bit more. I know I still haven't done an actual video about it. Been a bit busy. Apologies. Scroll on down. I did see Jeff Brush says, I don't know much about using MIDI devices, so I look forward to more about that. Yeah. So I wanted to do this and focus in on using real acoustic guitars, but if you are more of an electronic producer, or perhaps you're not and you want to learn more about that, the beauty part is that I'll be using everything. So I'll be using real instruments, real vocals. We'll then be switching over. I'll use the touchscreen for some stuff. I'll use some MIDI keyboards. I'll use my MIDI drums. We'll bring it all together because, I know different folks use different things, and I wanted to make sure that it's there. Yes, Jade Star says, I was typing that, Pete. Great minds on the ice cream lids. Yeah, ice cream containers. And because the lid is usually a different thickness, you can kind of get yourself a thin and a thick by cutting the lid and then cutting the bottom, because the bottoms are usually a little bit thicker. So there you go. 2 for the price of 1. Bill lets his fingernails grow. I'm a nail biter. So I never have fingernails. So yeah, no. A gross habit you've just learned. It's not even asked me anything, but a gross habit. My new bank card's no good. We can cut that up. Yeah, I'd like to cut up my credit card for other reasons apart from using here at the moment. And I'm probably about to buy a new iPad Pro, just quietly. The time has come. I've never owned a USB-C device, and I'm getting question after question about USB-C connections with an iPad. And I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, I think I need to just buy an iPad Pro. And she's like, okay. And I said, you can buy something too. You can get a new TV or a fridge or something. And she's like, okay. Yes. So speaking of credit card debt, hello. But no, I think it would be good because I do want to be able to show how to use, how did I get onto me buying an iPad Pro about your bank cards? Anyway, let's continue on. Bianca Vega, hello to you. Good to see you here on the channel. Just a side question. When creating your album artworks like for Bully, which programs did you use? I'm glad you asked, because I love telling people this, because the program I use for album art, which is fabulous and is free, you can use the paid version. I do have the paid version. It's canva.com. And if you've never tried canva.com, jump over there and do that. If you search my name, search Pete Johns. Oh, we don't need you on the stream. If you search Pete Johns album art, there's some videos on the channel all about this. But this is where I do my designs. So if you come in here and you go create a design, and you do custom dimensions, and you do 3000 by 3000, which is what you want your album art to be. That will be compatible with all the different platforms. There you go. You come in here and you've just got a blank slate, a blank canvas, but you've got all of these ones here that are all sort of ideas. And you can even go into your templates. If you type album, you can go album cover, and it's going to give you a bunch of ideas and templates that you can then customize. So if you wanted to have an album that kind of looked like this, you could bring it in there. You can change this. You could go awesomeness. Probably wouldn't do it like that. You can stretch it out like that. Cool. You can put your name here. So awesomeness by Bianca Vega. And there you go. You got yourself a free one. And then you don't need to use that image. You can get rid of that. It's got a whole bunch of free images that you can use. If you come in here to the photos, and say you wanted a photo of what's something cool, like orchestra. Like we were talking about orchestrals before, you can say, yeah, give me an orchestra photo, make that the background, bring it in like that. Yeah, so there you go. And then you can adjust all the different settings. There's a whole bunch you can do. You can change the colors. You can do all sorts of cool things there. So yeah, that's what I recommend is jump over to canva.com, create yourself some album artwork. And yeah, it is free. I think it's $12 a month for the paid version that I use, which just gives you things like transparent PNGs. It gives you a whole bunch more cool fonts and templates and free images. So if you've ever seen a thumbnail on this channel, it's created in canva.com. If any of my album artwork, it's all canva.com. Very, very cool place to go. And if you're like me, you are terrified of things like Photoshop and you're really bad at design, Canva holds your hand all the way through. Worth checking out. Bill, my favorite mic is the Shure SM7. Yeah, SM7 is a good mic. I don't have one. I've never owned one. The SM7B, especially. I think that's the only one. SM7B. That's the mic you see on pretty much every podcast. So it's about a $400 US mic. Costs about $700 here in Australia. So that's why I don't own one. But they are very good. They're dynamic mics, but you do need something like a cloud lifter or a FET head to get enough. Especially if you're using an interface in the home studio, you do struggle to get enough stuff through. There you go. Battalion. Pete usually uses Canva. Yeah, so, and I did. I went on a rant there about Canva. See you later, LC. Got to run. No problem. I do too. I'm coming up to the hour, so I'm going to finish up soon. And we'll just see if there's any more questions here. Is there a software? A question here from Bill McDonald. Is there a software that makes keyboard sound like a steel guitar? I haven't come across any steel guitar virtual instruments as such. Steel guitar, banjo, and ukulele seem to be pretty hard to replicate without using the real thing. They seem to be pretty hard. Pedal steel, things like that, seem to be a bit hard to actually create. So, not sure. A bread clip works as a pick. I've actually used a bread clip as a pick. I'm not too ashamed to say I've used a bread clip as a pick. Question from Sion. Did you ever go for the Today at Apple sessions on the Apple Store where they teach GarageBand tricks? I haven't. I was meaning to, and to be honest, because I've got this time off at the moment to do the EP, I would have considered it if the Apple Store was running them, but they've only just reopened and they aren't doing any of those sort of sessions at the moment. I mean, how can I say this? I don't think I would learn anything new per se from that, but never say never, right? Like every time I do something, I tend to learn something new. And I mean, I've only just started using the text replacement feature on my iPhone. So yeah, maybe I would actually learn something. I like trying anyway. So yeah, I would definitely check it. Question from Tom Rochelle. Have you checked out the U series of Zoom handy interfaces? I've been using the U25 a while and it works great with the iPad, iPhone, and Mac. Prices seem to have gone up recently though. Yeah, I was super tempted to get one of the Zoom recorders. So I actually went with the iRig because I'd never owned an iRig device. So here's where I was at. I I've been using and continue to use my Steinberg UR12, this one UR22. I used to have a Steinberg UR12, swapped out to the UR22C, which is this one, and yeah, been enjoying using that one for my sort of studio work. And then I wanted something more portable, and I literally had a Zoom U24 in my cart, and then I thought it would probably be better for the channel. I don't know, you got to think about these things as well. I know it's music and it's business, and yeah, so think what you will. But yeah, it would be better because I get more questions about the iRig than I do about Zoom, the Zoom recorders. So I bought an iRig. I'm still keen to check out the Zoom because I think they've got a little bit more functionality in terms of mixing. And the one question I'm getting asked more than anything right now is how do I connect up good quality sound for streaming on things like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube? And the big problem with something like the Steinberg UR22 is it's a great interface, but the problem is that if you plug in a microphone to the left channel here and you go live, it puts it on the left side. So there's no way to send a mono signal out that puts the microphone on both sides. So it's all going to come in one ear. And if you want to have a mic and a guitar and you want to record that and you want to stream that, it's going to put one on one side, one on the other. Sounds terrible, not good. Whereas mixer type devices, so like the Zoom mixer I've got here, and anything that can mix it down to a stereo signal is going to be a lot better for live streaming for that purpose. Jade saying, I got invited to teach a GarageBand session at a store here in Melbourne. It was heaps fun. Very cool. That would be awesome. Maybe they'll get me to teach one. Maybe I'll just walk in there and go, hey, I'm going to teach people GarageBand. Or maybe not. Let's continue down. We've still got quite a few questions here. So if you're happy, I'm happy. If you do need to run, feel free to. But I've probably got another 10 minutes here, so I'm going to see if I can get through the questions here and answer those. Bianca, you're very welcome. Hopefully that helps you out because, yeah, it's a great way to create some album artwork. House of Milk says, I'd recommend Trapdoor for trap music. Get it? Trap. One day someone will explain to me what trap music is. I still don't know. I still haven't worked it out, but that's okay. I barely know that a beat is now an instrumental backing track. I know I ranted on this the other day, but to me, a beat is the drum beat, it's the percussion, and an instrumental is, or a backing track, is the backing track. But apparently now you just call a beat just means anything that is not the lyrics or the words or the rapping or the, anyway. Old Man Pete says, get off my lawn. You know what I'm saying. I need some water. I'll grab a quick drink and then we'll come up and finish off as many of these questions as we can. And if I don't get to your question today, yeah, we've got Ask Me Anything, we've got GarageBand, we've got Home Studio Q&A, we've got GarageBand Weekly, all through the weekend, so you will not be left alone. I will not give you 1 second of peace. We're going to be talking home recording all weekend long. Bill McDonald, Pete, what is the program called for LP covers? Oh, canva.com. Is that what I was just talking about? Canva, Canva.com. Italian says I have a slide guitar, but not steel. Yeah, I've never been able to play slide guitar. I had a friend who would be a great blues guitarist, and he would play with a slide all the time, and he had about 15 different guitars, including a steel guitar. So he was all over it. A question here, which is, I have a question. Have you gotten performance limit error? Nothing works, editing notes, copying, pasting, and it doesn't save my work that I have got. No, I haven't. Is it optimizing performance? So I do have a video about optimizing performance. So let's come back over here. still creating my awesomeness album cover there. So if we go back to the YouTube, I'm pretty sure if you type my name and then optimizing performance, you're going to get what you need. Me, optimizing. And I have to spell it wrong because the American spelling is optimizing with a Z or a Z as we call it. But we say optimizing with an S. So optimize is spelled with an S. Any of those IZE or IZE words are an S here in Australia. So yes, that one there. You can't really miss it because it's got optimizing performance in big red letters. But if you search Pete Johns optimizing performance, got some tips there to avoid it. It's not completely avoidable, but there's some things you can do to reduce it, such as closing down background apps, such as going into airplane mode, such as making sure you've got plenty of free space on your iPhone and iPad. They're kind of the big ones if you're running into issues with your performance. So hopefully that helps you. Jeff says, "How many gig will you get on your iPad Pro?" I need to upgrade so soon. Yeah, watch this space because you know I'm going to be talking about it. You know you'll be the first ones to find out if and when it happens. But yeah, I'm not sure. It depends. I'm thinking the 512. So I'm thinking 512 gig because 256. I have that on my phone, and believe it or not, I fill it like regularly because I do a lot of video work. And video, 4K video, is bloody big. It's huge. So I'm thinking 512. I don't think I can actually go a terabyte because it's so expensive. I think I priced it the 1 terabyte iPad Pro. If I go the big one, which I'm still not sure about the 11 or the 12.9, yeah, I priced it around $2,700 Australian, which I don't think so. Anyway, continuing on here. I'll just see if there's any other questions, any other comments that are. I think we're close to caught up and we're close to done, but it keeps scrolling down really fast. Barry Tomkinson, hello to you, looking sharp as ever. Well, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you being here and saying g'day. Speaking of g'day, we have Signature Music Services also saying g'day. Good to have you here on board. I think we're getting a bit close. We're just having some chats there. Yeah, the Jade and Metallion and Sion are all chatting and helping folks out, which is always awesome. Alrighty. Question here from Johnny Vans. I watched one of your videos earlier concerning AU plugins and how the reset after closing out GB. Is that still the case? No, it's not. So we'll finish on this. We'll finish on some good news, shall we? So I think if we search Pete John's Apple plugins fixed, you'll see that we have this video here. Plugins are fixed. So yeah, if you check that one out, search Pete John's Apple plugins fixed, you'll see that, that you can use those and they do save the settings. So it used to be that you would use those plugins and then as soon as you closed out of your project and went back in, it would reset all the default values. Now they don't. So things like the limiter is really cool. There's the band pass filter. There's a heap. In fact, if you look at, you'll see them all in this free 15 free plugins video there. And I do go through a lot of them. In other ones. So I think there's a playlist. In fact, if you go to garageband.com, no, if you go to studiolivetoday.com/garageband, you can go to my FAQ and that's got links to a bunch of the different videos that show you all the stuff. So that is very cool. Okay, we are done here. As I mentioned, though, if you do want more information about all this stuff, there are some more guitar recording related videos down in the description. You can go to studiolivetoday.com. If you're not already on the mailing list, join the mailing list. That will give you a weekly newsletter, which will give you links to all of the past videos that are of interest. It'll give you the live schedule for this weekend of everything that's coming up live here on the channel and anything else that's going on in the world of Studio Live today. You can also support me with the links below. You can make a donation through PayPal. You can use the super chat function, become a patron over on patreon.com/PeteJohns and check out the gear guide, studiolivetoday.com/gear. I wonder why I'm tired. Yeah, I'm trying to get as much information and value out there for you. And of course, the absolute best thing you can do is to get out there, create, record, and release your best music. The primary reason, and I say it at the start of every video and usually at the end, the reason that I do this is to get as much music out there in the world as possible. And if you are like me 5 years ago, where you're sitting there going, I'd like to, but I just don't want to. No, just do it. Just start creating. Whatever you have, use what you've got. Start writing, recording, creating, releasing music, sharing it with other people. You will have a great time and you will have a great sense of satisfaction when you get some music out there into the world. I will see you tomorrow. Ask me anything happening tomorrow morning. We've then got GarageBand Q&A. We've got the happy hour is about the noughties, so 2000 to 2010. Some fun songs we'll have on the happy hour this week. And then, of course, GarageBand Weekly, finishing off your weekend. So plenty of live stuff coming up here on the channel. Until next time, though, have a great day, afternoon, evening. I'll catch you soon. Take care.